So you want to take a picture of the different phases of the moon. Not just the full moon, but the gibbous moon, the half moon, and the crescent moon. Come along and I'll show you the camera settings I use to photograph the many different phases of the moon. Also, a bonus tip at the end of the video, the settings I use to get these pictures during a lunar eclipse. My favorite moon phase is the crescent moon. But to get there, I wanted to take pictures of the moon phases leading to the crescent moon, knowing it was the most difficult. First, you need the correct equipment. First, you need a camera. Of course, you could just look at it and enjoy its beauty. Wow. Pretty. But if you want a close-up, well, not that much of a close-up, preferably an interchangeable lens camera. A cell phone will not do because no zoom. But you can try. I took this with my cell phone. It is a wonderful white ball. I did use the Pro mode on my cell phone camera and got these. The problem with these is that when you zoom on your phone, it is a digital zoom, not an optical zoom like a lens. A point and shoot on manual would look like this. But like the cell phone, it's a small sensor, so it might not capture enough light to get a good detailed picture. Still a lot of noise. Not a bad picture with this camera. So I'm going to use this. In case you're curious, this is the Sony a6400. Any interchangeable lens will do. Preferably a 200mm or more if you want a close-up with details. I have a Canon 70-300, so with my crop sensor camera, the 300 is really a 450mm lens on a full frame. You'll need a tripod. You might be able to hold your camera. I took this by holding the camera. A nice picture, but not real sharp. Since you're going to be using manual focus to get the sharpest picture, it is easier to focus on a tripod. Yeah, I know, I hate them too. To avoid camera shake when pressing the shutter button, use a remote. Or set the camera to 2-second or 10-second delay. Shoot raw so you can get as many details from the moon and be able to fix the white balance. It may turn a weird color and you may not notice it when taking the picture. As they say in the movie business, fix it in post. Oh, and remember to turn off the image and lens stabilization. Use manual focus. You might get the full moon in focus with autofocus, but not the other moon phases. If you want to take a picture of the full moon with autofocus, make sure that you have the focus area set to center. If you have it on wide, you may get a picture like this. f8, 15 seconds, ISO 100. I prefer to use manual focus and use live view, magnification, and focus peaking if you have them. On my camera, I use focus peaking and also magnification to make sure it's in focus. Then I use my remote shutter. Every camera is different, so use my settings as a starting point. f8 on my camera tends to be the sharpest. Between f5.6 and 11 are also good. Your lens may not get to f5.6 zoomed out. Definitely don't go past f11, as diffraction may occur and it will be less sharp. It is better to take a picture of the moon with a darker exposure than a lighter one. It is easier to recover shadows than highlights. When you take a picture on the day of the full moon, you might get something like this. Here it is straight out of the camera. f8, 1/200, ISO 100. Zoomed in. I then took a few minutes to edit it. This was taken a day before the full moon, which will give you some shadows on the surface of the moon. My settings for this picture of the full moon was f8, 1/60, ISO 100. For some reason, this gave me the best result when I edited it. To give you a better example of what kind of pictures you can expect right out of the camera, here are some raw pictures, unedited, in some other settings. f8, 1/80, f8, 1/125, f8 at 1/200, f11 at 1/60, and f11 at 1/25. Photographing the full moon is great, but the moon looks better when there are more shadows on the moon's surface. This leads us to the gibbous moon. The gibbous moon gives off less light than the full moon. Gibbous moon, f8, 1/160, ISO 200. These settings gave me the best shadows when I edited it. Though this raw shot at f8 at 1/125 ISO 200 looks good also. I was going to try ISO 100 last night, but it was cloudy. You can also take pictures of the moon with clouds around it. It can look pretty cool. Just not in front of it. Came out pretty good as well. Wait a minute. I did take one at ISO 100 at 5:02 p.m. at f6.7 at 1/500. Oh, I was taking pictures on auto for a future video. Here's a good example of taking a picture on auto and taking a picture using manual. The half moon gives off even less light. Half moon, f8, 1/125, ISO 200. These settings gave me the best picture to edit. f8, 1/60, ISO 100. Came out pretty good as well. This raw shot at f8 at 1/60 at ISO 100 looks good. I did get a nice picture a day before the half moon. f8, 1/100, ISO 100. This setting to me had the best exposure to edit. I did try f5.6 and just wasn't as sharp, even with some editing. f5.6, 1/200, ISO 100. The crescent moon gives off very little light. I had to raise the ISO. Crescent moon, f8, 1/125, ISO 400. Here it is raw. Now edited and cropped. This was my best one. I absolutely love it. My favorite moon phase. Here it is at ISO 200. Here it is at ISO 100. Now compare that with the full moon at ISO 100. Same exposure, f8, 1/125. You may want to try a shutter speed of 1/100. See if you get a better result with different settings. Let me know in the comments the settings you used. If you took a good picture and posted it on your Instagram, drop your handle in the comments without the @ and I'll check it out. I tried something creative and took a picture with the dark side showing and blowing out the light side. Dark side of crescent moon, f5.6, 2 seconds, ISO 3200. The shutter speed is definitely too long and there's some motion blur, but it's such a cool shot. Before I show you my settings going to the full eclipse, it was January and it was cold. So some of my early settings aren't what I would pick, but they came out good anyways. I'm putting them here to give you more options. f5.6, 1/1600, ISO 100. I'm not sure why I started with f5.6. Then I somehow overshot the aperture. Instead of setting it to f8, I set it to f11. They came out good also. f11, 1/100, ISO 100. f11, 1/80, ISO 100. f11, 1/60, ISO 100. I finally noticed and set the aperture to f8. f8, 160, ISO 100. Had to bump up the ISO to 200. f8, 1/125, ISO 200. When you go through the eclipse, there's a time when the Earth's shadow is almost covering the moon. I wanted to get just a sliver of the moon, not covered yet. So I took the light side of almost eclipse, f5.6, 1/200, ISO 3200. I then had to switch my settings quickly to get the dark side with the sliver of uncovered moon before it gets to the full eclipse. Dark side of almost eclipse, f5.6, 1/20, ISO 3200. Here is the orange moon just a few minutes before the moon was completely covered. f5.6, 0.8 seconds, ISO 3200. Here is the red moon completely covered by the shadow of the Earth. Eclipse red, f5.6, 2 seconds, ISO 200. If you want to see how I mounted my Canon lens onto my Sony camera, click on this video here. This video is an older video with the lens connected to the Sony a6000. See me in the next video.